We are the Gujarat Technological University. Since its inception over a decade ago, GTU has been empowering young and curating minds to realize their true potential. Over 4 lakh inspired students are enrolled with one of the premier academic universities in India. With more than 450 affiliated colleges in its fold operating across 5 zones of the state, GTU, the International Innovative University, your place to move forward.
A very good morning, good afternoon, good night, whenever you will see this video. So today our topic is IC engine terminologies. Now another word of terminology means what? It is nothing but the specifications of IC engine. As for example, supposing if you want to purchase a screw from the market, so how you will purchase? You will specify certain things like what will be the length of the screw, what will be the diameter of the screw, what will be the head diameter of the screw. That each and everything you will specify to a shopkeeper, and according to your specification you will get a screw. So specification means what in the case of IC engine terminology? Simple thing. As for example, supposing if you want to purchase a bike, so how will purchase? You will give certain specifications like I want such a bike in which alloy tire should be there. The first specification is alloy tire. Then another specification of the bike would be which one? That I want such a bike in which side signal should be there but having some noise like beep beep like this. With side signal some noise is created. This is one type of specification. Another specification of the bike you can say like that I want such a bike in which self start should be there. So these all things are known as specification in general case, but in the case of IC engine, that specifications are known as terminologies in a technical word. Clear about terminology means what? Terminology means what? It is one type of specification of your IC engine. That means if you want to purchase IC engine from the market, so how you will purchase? Which type of specifications are there? First terminology of IC engine to clear to you, which is your 4-stroke engine or 2-stroke engine. So 4-stroke means what? That when crank will complete its 2 rotation, so within that 2 rotation you will get 1 power stroke, so that is known as 4-stroke engine. And 2-stroke engine means what? When your crank will complete 1 rotation, and within that 1 rotation if you will get 1 power stroke, that means it is the working principle, or sorry, it is the terminology, that is one type of terminology of a 2-stroke engine. Now remaining terminologies are there which are very much important to understand. So we'll start our topic which is the terminologies. Acha. So on the board you can see that I have written up to 11 terminologies of IC engine. So one by one we will discuss properly so that you will get good idea about this. First terminology is known as TDC and BDC. So TDC and BDC full form as you know, top dead center, bottom dead center. Now TDC and BDC we can say when our engine is a vertical engine. Now in vertical engine, this type of engine, what's happened? Vertical engine, top dead center is there, bottom dead center is there. But supposing if our engine is like this, that is your piston, that is your cylinder. So over here you cannot say TDC and BDC. Over here you will say that IDC, and over here it will be your ODC. IDC means what? Inner dead center, and ODC means what? Outer dead center. When your engine is vertical, at that time only you can say that is top, that is bottom. But when your engine is horizontal like this, so at that time top and bottom will never come. IDC and ODC will come. Clear up to that? Acha. Now TDC, how will define TDC? So you can see my previous video in which I have explained about TDC and BDC properly. TDC, how will define? It is the position of the crank on which piston is at its most topmost position. Simple. BDC means what? It is the position of the crank. Over here piston as crank will be. It is the position of the crank on which piston is at its most bottommost position. IDC means what? It is the position of the crank. Over here somewhere crank will be there on which piston is at its most innermost position. That is known as IDC. And ODC means what? Once again it is the position of the crank on which your piston at its most outermost position. That is the meaning of TDC BDC that we will use in a vertical engine, and ODC IDC that we will use when engine your horizontal. Now next is stroke. Now stroke, its notation is capital L, and that stroke is measured in meter, or you can say SI unit will be in meter. Now stroke means what? When your piston will travel from TDC to BDC or BDC to TDC. That means distance between top dead center and bottom dead center is known as stroke. So over here I have mentioned like this. Distance between TDC and BDC is known as stroke, which is denoted by capital L. It is also known as stroke length also. Sometimes they are mentioning as stroke length. But up till now you can remember like this. Distance between TDC and BDC is known as stroke length, which is in meter always. Now next we will go for stroke volume. Stroke volume is denoted by V suffix S, and its unit is meter cube. Now stroke volume how I will define. First of all, when piston will travel from TDC to BDC or BDC to TDC, during the traveling of piston, whatever volume of the cylinder which is covered by the piston is known as stroke volume. That means between TDC and BDC, whatever volume is present of a cylinder, and that volume is covered by piston by traveling like this. So that volume is known as stroke volume. Clear about stroke volume? Stroke volume means what? When piston will travel from TDC to BDC or BDC to TDC. So during that traveling of piston, whatever volume of the cylinder which is covered by the piston is known as stroke volume. Or simple, you can remember like this. The volume of a cylinder which is present between TDC and BDC is known as stroke volume. Stroke volume will be in meter cube. Now next we will move on with clearance volume. Now clearance volume is denoted by V suffix C, and its unit is meter cube. Now clearance volume means what? Once again it is a volume of the cylinder, but which volume? About the head of the piston. About the head of the piston. Supposing if piston is present over here. Supposing if piston is present over here, so about the head of the piston, whatever volume is there, that is not a stroke clearance volume. But whatever volume is present above the head of the piston when piston is present on TDC. That means what? Suppose piston is present over here. So volume of the cylinder above the head of the piston, that is the piston, and above the head of the piston, whatever volume is there, that volume is known as clearance volume. But condition is what? Piston must be present at TDC. Or you can simply remember like this. The volume of the cylinder above TDC is known as clearance volume like this. Or you can say like that, it is the volume of the cylinder above the head of the piston when piston is present at TDC. Supposing piston is present over here, over there, above the head of the piston, whatever volume is there, that is not a stroke or a clearance volume. But when you can say above the head of the piston, whatever volume is there, it is a clearance volume when piston is present on TDC. So at that time, above the head of the piston, whatever volume is there, that is known as clearance volume. Or simply you can remember like this, above TDC, whatever volume of the cylinder is present, that is known as clearance volume. That's it. Now next is total volume. Total volume means what? That is your clearance volume, that is your stroke volume. So if you will take the summation of Vs plus Vc, then it will be your total volume. So what is I written like this? Vt means total volume equals to Vs plus Vc. So that whole volume of the cylinder is known as total volume, which is constructed by clearance volume and stroke volume. So what here I wrote? Total volume is equals to stroke volume plus clearance volume, which is in meter cube once again. Now next is compression ratio. Now compression ratio is represented by small r. That is the notation, compression ratio. As it is a ratio, it is a unitless quantity. So no unit will come. Why? Because it is a ratio of what? It is a ratio of total volume of the cylinder. So that is the total volume of the cylinder to the, where I wrote total volume of the cylinder to the clearance volume of the cylinder. So that is a ratio of total volume of the cylinder to the clearance volume. So that is your total volume, that is your clearance volume is that much. That is clearance volume, that is your clearance volume, and next above that total volume is that much. So it is a ratio of total volume by clearance volume. Now, total volume is also known as V1. That if you have observed when I have drawn PV diagram for petrol and diesel engines, at that time total volume is V1 and clearance volume is V2. That I have explained. V1 by V2. So now compression ratio R is equals to, now total volume means what? Total volume means what? Stroke volume plus clearance volume. So total volume I wrote like this, stroke volume plus clearance volume divided by clearance volume. So final will be Vs will be cancelled. So over here 1 plus Vs by Vc. So that equation is very much important to remember regarding to calculation of your numericals. Now next is brake power. Clear about compression ratio. Compression ratio means what? It is nothing but it is the ratio of total volume of the cylinder to the clearance volume. Total volume means what? Vs plus Vc, and clearance volume as it is Vc. Vc will get cancelled. So total compression ratio R is equals to 1 plus Vs by Vc. As compression ratio is a ratio, that is why it is a unitless quantity. Now next is brake power. Now, brake power means what? That it is such a power which is obtained on the main shaft of the engine. That when we have studied about construction of IC engine, at that time I told you one thing, that main shaft means what? That it is such a shaft on which power is produced. So which power is produced? In brake power is produced. Now supposing that is your IC engine figure, that is your main shaft. Main shaft is rotating. Why? Because power stroke is running. That is why on main shaft power is transmitted. So on the main shaft power is produced. Now on the main shaft, if you will measure the power, so that power is known as brake power. One more time I will repeat. On the main shaft, if you will measure the power by how much power is produced on the main shaft, so that power is known as brake power. Okay, clear about that? Later we will discuss this whole geometry, but right now clear about the definition of brake power. More picture will clear later to you. Achha, brake power means what? It is a power which is produced or which is obtained on the main shaft. Okay. Now next power is indicated power. Now indicated power means what? It is a power which is produced inside of the engine or inside of the cylinder. Supposing over here, if I will keep spark plug, so what's happened? Combustion may take place. Due to the combustion, what's happened? Power is produced. So the power which is produced inside of the cylinder or inside of the engine, that power is known as indicated power, or simply you can remember like this, the power which is produced above TDC. Or the power which is produced above the head of the piston, or the power which is produced inside of the cylinder or inside of the engine, that is known as indicated power. Clear up to that? Now you should remember one thing, that indicated power is always greater than brake power. Indicated power is always greater than brake power. How? Over here, indicated power over here, that the power which is produced inside of the engine, indicated power is suppose 10 kilowatt. Now that 10 kilowatt power, that piston will transmit to travel like this, TDC to BDC, to the main shaft. That means that 10 kilowatt power will be transmitted to main shaft, because over here whatever power is produced, that power will be transmitted on the main shaft. That is why on the main shaft power is produced, you can say like this. That means on the main shaft, actually not power is produced, but power is transmitted. Which power is transmitted? Indicated power is transmitted. So when you will transmit the indicated power on the main shaft, that means when you will transmit the indicated power to brake power, so what's happened? Oscillation of piston is required, and when piston will oscillate inside of the cylinder, so what's happened? Friction may take place between the wall of the piston and wall of the cylinder. Some friction may take place, and due to the friction, what happened? Some power may lost. So that lost power is known as friction power. Supposing that lost power is done, that is friction power. So how much power is lost? 2 kilowatt power is lost. So among 10, how much power is lost due to the friction? 2 kilowatt power is lost. So on the main shaft, how much power you will get? 8 kilowatt power you will get. That means indicated power is always higher than the brake power. Clear up to that? So from that you can construct the equation for friction power, which is the next topic, where it is friction power. Friction power means what? That when piston will travel from TDC to BDC, during that traveling of the piston, what's happened? Friction between wall of the cylinder and piston is taken place, and due to that some power is lost, and that lost power is known as friction power, and that friction power is subtracted from indicated power. So final power, whatever will come, that power will be lower than the indicated power, and that power is known as brake power. Clear up to that? Clear about friction power also? And friction power will be in kilowatt. Brake power is also in kilowatt. Friction power is also in kilowatt. Indicated power is also in kilowatt. We are not discussing the equations of brake power, indicated power, all that things. For that, a separate video I will make in which also numericals are done. Now, friction power clear. Friction power is equals to what? Friction power is how much friction power power is lost due to the friction. Why friction is produced? Because there is a friction between the wall of the cylinder and wall of the piston, and due to that friction some power may lost, and that lost power which is not useful, that is known as friction power, which is equals to indicated power. Actual how much power is produced inside of the engine? 10 kilowatt power is produced. And how much power is transmitted on the main shaft? So 8 kilowatt power is transmitted on the main shaft. So 10 minus 8, so it will be 2, and 2 is the friction power which is lost. Clear up to that? Now next important thing is CC. Now CC means what? Have you heard about that? I have a bike having the CCs of 120 cc, 150 cc. So what is the meaning of CC? That we will discuss. Now CC means what? The full form of CC, if I want to write, so it is your centimeter cube. That is the full form of CC, centimeter cube. Okay. Now centimeter cube, if I will write over here, centimeter cube. Now centimeter cube is the unit of what? Any idea? But obvious, it is the unit of volume. So CC represents what? CC represents the volume of the engine or volume of the cylinder. Engine means what? One type of cylinder. Cylinder means what? Engine. Engine means what? Cylinder. So don't confuse between cylinder and engine. Engine and cylinder both are same. Okay. So CC will represent what? Centimeter cube or cubic centimeter. Centimeter cube, unit of centimeter cube. CC is what? Volume. That means CC will represent what? It will represent the size of the engine or volume of the engine or capacity of the engine also. Okay. Now that CC, if you want to find centimeter cube, that means volume. If you want to find, that means over here I have written volume of the cylinder, which is stroke volume of the cylinder, pi by 4 d square into L. Now d means what? That is your bore diameter of the cylinder or inside diameter of the cylinder. In terms of centimeter, if you are going to find CC, in terms of, so over here I will write centimeter square. D square, D is in terms of centimeter, so D square means centimeter square. L means what? Length of stroke, distance between TDC and BDC, that is length of stroke, and you are finding CC, that means length you will consider in centimeter. So answer for stroke volume will be how much? That is a centimeter square multiplied with centimeter. So you will get the answer of centimeter cube, which will indicate your CC. That means it will indicate the size of the engine or volume of the engine or capacity of the engine. Now remember one thing, as a CC is increasing, so what's happened? Centimeter cube, that means size, that means volume of the cylinder is increasing. As volume of the cylinder is increasing, so what's happened? Fuel supply is also increasing. Why? Because volume is more, so fuel supply is also more. Clear about that? As volume is increasing, fuel supply is also increasing. But as fuel supply is increasing, combustion is increasing, and if combustion is increasing, pickup of your bike is also increasing. As for example, if I want to say 150 cc bike, suppose Pulsar bike if I will consider. In Pulsar bike what happens? CC is high. As CC is high, size of the engine is more, cylinder diameter is more. And as cylinder diameter is more, number one, that bike is heavy. As CC is more, size, volume, capacity of the engine is more. As volume is more, what's happened? Fuel supply is also more. That is the average of that bike, Pulsar or any bike having higher CC, around 150 cc or about 150 cc. Its average is very much less as compared to the lower cc bikes. But in that bike, higher cc bikes, what happens? Fuel consumption is more, average is less, then combustion is more, so pickup of this bike is also more. Like Charisma bike, its pickup is extremely high, but its average is low. Why its average is low? Because its size is more, because its cc is more, so fuel consumption is more, and as fuel consumption is more, combustion is more, power production is more, that's why pickup is more, but average is less. You can say like this. Okay. Now, if I will consider another bike like Bajaj Platina, having 120cc, you can say like that, or 100cc, you can say like that. In this bike, you know very well its average is maximum around 85 average, maybe you have seen. Now Its CC is less, that means diameter of cylinder is less. As diameter of cylinder is less, what's happened? Fuel consumption is less. Fuel consumption is less means what? Its average is good, but as fuel consumption is less, combustion is less, so power production is less. That's why pickup is low. So having lower CC bikes, it has lower pickup. But efficiency is not a proper word, but average is good. And in front of that, higher CC bikes having fuel consumption is more, that means average is less, but the pickup is very much high. So clear up to that about CC. Finally, CC means what? It will indicate size, capacity or volume of the engine. That's it. Achha. Next we will go for crank speed. Now in crank speed, what you will say? It is represented by 2Ln. L means what? As you know, length of stroke. N means what? RPM. Crank will rotate like this. 1N, 2N, 3N. Same way, L means what? 1L, 2L, 3L. Like this. Clear about that? L means what? Length of stroke. N means what? It is the RPM. Achha, crank speed is always written as 2Ln. Why 2Ln? Because if I will divide this thing like this, 2L. 2L means what? When crank will travel from TDC to BDC, 1L. BDC to TDC, 2L. At that time, you just tell me how many times crank will rotate. TDC to BDC, 1L. BDC to TDC, 2L. How many times crank will rotate? One time crank may rotate, because TDC to BDC half rotation, BDC to TDC another half rotation. That means one time your crank will rotate. That means over here I will write 2L into 1N. 1N means what? RPM of the crank. One time rotation of the crank. It is required how many oscillations or how many length stroke? 1, 2. 1, 2. 2L. Among that 1, 2. 1N. 1 RPM. Clear about this? So that is all about crank speed. So these all terminologies today we have discussed. Now again I am requesting that if you are not able to understand any point, please again rewind this video and understand properly. Thank you very much. Read hard, work hard. Thank you.